Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to talk a bit more about anger and specifically focus on the fact that anger is a choice. And that's something that we sometimes tend to forget, is that when we express with anger, which we can all relate to doing, that it is actually a choice. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is not to create a stir or to make anyone feel uncomfortable. It's actually to empower us to feel that we actually can make a different choice. And it's not that sometimes we're going to feel like we can't react and things like that, because sometimes we will just react to a situation, but to realize that we have a choice whether to stay in anger or to learn how to come out of it. And that is very possible. In other words, we don't need to, maintain our anger around a person or an issue or something like that. That in fact, it is a choice and it's something that we can choose not to hold on to. So in terms of a choice, basically, we can have the tendency of thinking that a situation happens and then we get angry. So, person X does something and we just get angry. And it's almost like we can believe that that's the only choice that there is, particularly if we're very familiar with being angry when certain things happen. So if that's a familiar road that we have done in the past, for example, or something like that, it can seem like there is no other choice. But it is possible to respond to a situation and actually learn how to address it completely, which doesn't mean rolling over and just sort of agreeing with the situation or anything like that. But there's another way to be in a situation that isn't in reaction, in other words, in anger to the situation. Because as I've mentioned, anger is essentially a form of numbness in a way. So in other words, when we get angry, we harden. And in that hardness, we actually take the edge off. And it's like we're trying to numb the underlying hurt or sadness that we're feeling. And so anger is used in that way. And so it's understandable when we are not educated and perhaps don't know how to deal with our hurts. But at the end of the day, anger is not the healthy way to do it, because in hardening us, we then react back to the situation. And even if we get what we want, it's not really going to offer any true contentment. We may get a bit of satisfaction from thinking or knowing that the person ended up doing what we wanted them to, or that we were able to dominate the person or the situation, and we felt some sense of satisfaction over the control we were able to exert over another or something like that. But ultimately, those things are empty in comparison to true contentment. And that true contentment only comes from responding to a situation as opposed to being angry to a situation. Okay, so the other thing I want to mention when it comes to choice is that anger only offers another person two choices. In other words, back down or take me on. So when we are angry towards another, we don't allow them the free will, you could say, or the free choice to just do as they please, or in other words, make up their own mind in terms of how they want to respond to the situation. Anger is a very dominating quality that says you either submit or you attempt to dominate me back and take me on. And so to me, that's horrible. That's very imposing that we can do that to each other. And we think that that's okay, where we just think, okay, yep, this person I'm going to dominate over, or I want them to have a fight with me. So the difference with responding is, of course, that doesn't happen. It's not even about dominating or submitting. So in other words, you don't back down. You're not a pushover, and you don't allow things to happen if they're not okay. The difference, though, is that you don't attempt to deal with the situation by dominating the person back or submitting to them. And so you're not a pushover, but at the same time, you're not aggressive. And that's very, very possible to do. And communication and expression have a lot to do with dealing with these sorts of situations, because often when we get angry, it comes up in relationships. And so our ability to communicate and express truly how we feel is super, super important, because if not, then what will come out is a reaction. And we're talking about the flavor of anger in this case. And so the irony is that when it comes to anger, we are pushing people away. And that's the very opposite of, deep down we actually want, because ultimately we are actually just hurt or, and sad underneath. And so the very last thing we actually want is to push people away, but that is in fact what we end up doing. And so it's ironic that we do that despite the fact that what we are really truly missing is to be close with people and to feel understood, or whatever it might be that is going on for us. And so when it comes to these videos, we're going to talk more about these different aspects of anger. Again, not as a critique on anyone or anything like that, but just to bring some much more understanding around what anger actually is and why we do it. Because if we can understand the mechanics of what anger is, then we've got a chance in being able to address it and actually find much more healthier ways to deal with situations. So there's going to be more videos on anger, and I'll talk with you soon.